Yes, I. All right.
All right. How are we doing?
I'm all right. It's Friday, innit?
Friday.
Somewhere.
It's Saturday. It's Friday, yeah.
Yeah.
It's good, isn't it?
And Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
It's not really weekends, though, is it, anymore? You can't do anything.
No. Thinking about that last night a lot.
What, like
literally sitting there going...
Yeah, just like there's no Saturday. There's nothing, no difference to Saturday to Friday.
Nothing.
Can't do anything extra.
Nothing. Should we go out? Never mind.
No. You can walk the dog on. We can do it usually on any other day. That's it.
Mrs. like, we've got a restaurant near us, Indian place. It's a nice place.
Can't go there.
It's like, should we go down? And I was like, we'll book it for tomorrow if you want. She's like, it's not open, you dick.
It's locked down.
Oh, yeah.
Joe said yesterday, I'm going to pick up a T-shirt. Where are you picking that up from, mate? The shop was I went, no shop's open, mate. Nothing's open.
Isn't it mad?
It's good, though.
Anyway, that's the lockdown update. Cheers for tuning in. See you next week.
Yeah.
Right, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, remember him?
Yeah. Manager.
Coach of the Manchester Reds.
Yep.
He's just been talking to the press. For some reason, I don't know why. Honestly, it's like an absolute drips row in it.
Some of the questions they ask.
Here we go. Here's a bone question for you, Solskjaer.
Yeah. The starting one was, well, let's just make this easy. What's the team news? I'm like, could you not just say to him beforehand, instead of asking a question, just go through who's injured?
Yeah, why doesn't Ollie walk? Because when he asks him,
walk in
like,
with the sheet.
He goes like this. Oh, like you didn't think. Do you think anyone was going to ask you that?
Why doesn't he just walk in with a sheet and just go?
Yeah.
He's injured.
They're all doing it on Zoom now, but yeah, you're right.
Or just hand it like that.
Yeah, or maybe mail it out. Joe, before it starts.
But
here's the team news. So I'll do it for you. So as Solskjaer walked in, I tell you what, you lot don't bother asking me because I'm about to tell you. Here's the team news. Phil Jones is injured. Lingard and Luke Shaw are injured.
That's it.
How hard was that? What is it? Right, here's what you should do. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, sit down. Thank you for coming, losers. Here's the team news. Here's the things I want to say, because the watching of press conferences, the amount of people who watch the press conferences now, probably because of accessibility as well, let's be real, versus the amount of people who watched it when it was interesting, when, I don't know, maybe Sir Alex Ferguson did them.
Yeah.
The difference in the production of them in terms of just how, Fergie would walk in and go, he would set an agenda.
Yeah.
He would walk in and go, this is what's happening.
Yep.
And here's what I want you to write.
Yeah, essentially. Let's start with what I want you to write, and then you can get into what you want to write about.
And maybe I'll ask you a question if I don't want to ban you.
Yeah.
Why is it not back bans, by the way, because they didn't...
I'm surprised he's not banned everyone. Because that would have been big today if it had just come in and gone, so there's a few people not here today because of the shite that's been written over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, how fantastic would that have
been? It would have been really good.
That was a great opportunity for that. Hi, I'm from the Daily Mail. Boop. Think he's just gone through a tunnel. Who's next?
I'm from the Mirror. Boop. He's gone as well.
He's gone through a tunnel as well. Anyone else driving in the countryside? No? Thank you. Let's have proper questions then, shall we?
Here's Andy Mitten. There you go. There's someone that's going to ask a proper question.
Andy Mitten actually asked a good question. There's a couple of... This annoys me, right? Yeah. Because they need different classifications of these journalists. And I guess that's what the tier system's for. But there's... Andy Mitten comes in and he goes, West Brom have won 1 in 4 or something like that at Old Trafford. What you're expecting against them? Good question. Yep. Ollie did his usual dancing around it a little bit, like, Bilic is a good player. He used to say some cheeky stuff to me when I was playing. Here's some of the other stuff that he mentioned. And for me, the real big one that we need to be focusing on, and you lot probably should be interested in, Rashford joined in today. Yep. And he's hoping for no reaction. So it's a shoulder injury Marcus has got.
So it's one of them with Marcus, is that if he's fine tomorrow, he'll just play. He'll just start. There's no problem with that. But if not, there's a big worry there. You don't know how this is going to react, because he's said that he's been in the gym and stuff, and he's actually done he's made sure that he's protected around it. But now,
I mean, you're talking 4 or 5 days ago. You can't change your physiology in 4 or 5 days.
No, so it's just a case of if he feels anything in this, he's not going to play at all tomorrow, which is a worry. And I would expect, and it is a worry, because if you take Marcus out of there, we did transfer review before. I think it's going out later today. We were talking about Dan James. There's Everton are in for Dan James on loan, supposedly. I think it's bullshit, but the rumours there. I was like, if you take Dan James out of this team, one injury and you go in, who plays now? Yeah. Because even if you don't rate Dan James,
he can play.
He's a body.
Yeah, he can.
And he does a job in times. He's not great, but he fills in when you need him, which is why I think this is the frustration about all the Sancho stuff this summer, is that yes, you wanted Jadon Sancho, you wanted someone there, but what you also needed was an option as a winger, because at the minute we've not got much. You've got Mata who can very much do a job. I think in certain games he just looks lost, but you've got Mata that can do a job. But apart from that, as soon as Mason or Marcus come out, it's poor. It's really poor. I think that the Cavani's...
Might be a bad option tomorrow against these,
No, because they're gonna sit back and hope and cling on for dear life, aren't they?
Not as much as you would think, actually.
But they are going to try and cling on for dear life.
Yeah, they're definitely going to do that, but they don't low block it.
No,
they leave a weird amount of space in between. You'll see my opposition preview going out tomorrow if you want to check that out in depth. But they do leave a weird amount of space.
Did you do that one? Yeah. Little office joke there, just for everybody. I came in a little bit later today, and I asked Steve, have you done that opposition thing? And he got a bit angry because apparently a few people had already asked him, and then it got tweeted as well. So
I fucking did it yesterday. Anyway, if you do watch West Brom, which I did, there's a weird amount of space. Like normally you see a defence has the midfield collapsed in on top of it, and it just denies any sort of space for that sort of pocket in between. I looked at all of the West Brom chances that they conceded, and I was like, fucking hell, there's acres. There's absolutely acres in front of these here. And even if they play a back four or a back three, there's a weird amount of space in between the back line. And I was like, someone like Bruno, Mason Greenwood, if he plays, so we'll get into that. I don't think he will, but that in between the lines space is vast. I think Bruno's going to have a field day against him.
Also, Juan Mata loves that as well. And if he drifts in, so if you have Bruno and Mata in there, that's...
But you then need probably Cavani to hold the line away, because as you've seen, Tony Marshall will then come and fill in that space as well, and then they can push you away from the box.
I wouldn't mind seeing Marshall on the left tomorrow if this all goes.
If Cavani can play.
If Cavani can play, I wouldn't mind seeing Marshall on the left. But Mason, go on to what's he?
Yeah. So also he mentioned, and there's a possible issue here in Victor Lindelof. He said his back's a bit rough, and it's a bit of a worry. And he says, like, we have to check because his back's not great. Now, that says to me, don't play the man.
Yeah.
Because they're going to target him.
Absolutely.
There's two ways they can target both our defenders. If they do try and sit in that low block and Harry Maguire gets giddy, I mean, he was playing like a number 10 for England the other day.
Everyone was going mad. Everyone was going mad about that heat map, by the way. Have you seen that?
No.
There's a heat map, and he literally looks like a left winger. Like the map is him in the left channel all game. But when you're playing three at the back, that's what you want your centre half to do.
That's the license that you
that's
get.
What you get.
Haven't you?
It's very different when you're playing the four at the back. He needs to not do that. But like you said, if he gets a bit giddy and starts going forward, and you go,
that.
Who's that behind you?
Yeah,
he's not there.
In a foot race, Carlin Grant murders him.
Yeah.
And then the West Brom are excellent at set pieces. Their free centre half scored 10 goals last year from set pieces, from corners and from wide free kicks. If one of them can isolate Victor Lindelof, it's not a good look. You've only got Maguire in there that's got really any sort of aerial threat. So another reason why you might see Pogba. It's another reason why you might see McTominay in the team. It's another reason why you might see Matic in the team. So I think the selection is going to be really interesting for this tomorrow. And all the people are like, it's West Brom, they're shit, Steve. Yeah, granted, but you do have to respect the opposition. If you don't respect their strengths, that's where you get caught out, and that's where you go, how did we lose that game?
We've also not won at home yet.
Yeah,
so there's a little, there's still that, we've said we should win this game, and it should happen. If you said this, look, United at home, we've not won yet. And breaking that thing is going to be a massive thing, even if, again, everyone says it, first goal changes. If United score early, it could be an easy day tomorrow. But
yeah,
if
and in hindsight, they were shit.
They were shit. But if it gets to 45 minutes and it's 0-0, or they maybe nick a goal, even if it goes 1-1 or something like that.
Or we miss a penalty or something like that, and everyone's just like...
Yeah, that's where there can be problems. But I think we should be fine. But
Mason Greenwood.
Yeah.
So Ollie jumped to his defence. Not as strongly maybe as Fergie would have done. Not as strongly as maybe a Jose would have done. Jose's usually quite cutting with it. Louis probably would have been quite funny in these circumstances as well. Louis was great value for press conferences, wasn't he? But he said, look, he's only 19. He's had a fantastic year. If we go a year back, I left him out of the Carabao Cup. That's how far he's come. He left him out of the Carabao Cup because he didn't know if he was ready or not.
And he played him in the 21s, didn't he?
Playing the 21s. Said since then he's made his England debut. He's had some fantastic development. Scored a lot of goals for a debut season. Yeah,
19.
He said the headlines are always there when he scores, and that's what he wants: is the headlines to be there when he plays. He said he's been away for 8 or 9 days from training. And he said he's not been well. He said he's He's allowed to not be well. He said the talent is there for everyone to see. And he just sort of seemed to emphasise the fact that, look, he's been away from training a little bit. He's not been well. I'm not sure on that.
The not been well seems like he's not dealt with things quite well. I think it's not, and everyone says illness, and everyone thought, oh, right, he's got a cold.
Yeah, he's had a cough. He's got a cough.
Yeah, but I think he's not dealing with something right. I think that's what it is, and that's
he's had a bereavement.
Yeah,
and I think that's fine. And I think I had a similar one at 19.
Yeah,
and if it's a close friend, it's rough to get over.
Yeah,
and I was a normal kid.
Yeah,
I'm not got the pressure of the over-analysis of everything, the bullshit that came about last week, which was just unbelievable. But on top of that, you've got the fact that you are a mega star in many people's eyes, the future of England, the future of Manchester United, the pressures that come with that, the lies that come with that.
And on top of that as well, I think this was another thing about, mentioned before about signing another winger. I think by having another winger, taking Mason Greenwood out of the team makes it a lot easier because you don't see the gap. Whereas now, that front three was so good like the end of last season.
Let's say Rashford's not available.
Yeah, but
you want to keep Mason away this week.
Yeah. You can see it now. Whereas if you have someone else, if you'd assigned obviously Sancho, if you'd assigned a Sarr or someone like that as well that could have filled in these different places, you just gone, all right. He's rotating things, and you can kind of see that, and you can see but now you can clearly see when Mason Greenwood isn't in the squad.
Well, let's say Bruno.
It becomes news. Yeah.
Bruno, let's say he pulled a Paddock for Portugal last week, and we imagine the position we'd be in last season.
Yeah.
We've got no Bruno, mate.
We were
now you go, what we're going to do, play Pogba?
Yeah. What do you...
Or Van der Beek.
It's not bad.
Or maybe Juan Mata in that position. We don't really see him in that position, but he should be in that position.
Yeah.
We've got strength in a couple of areas. It's like if David De Gea did his ankle today.
You go, Dean Henderson's there. And
we got more goalkeepers than right wingers.
And
riddle me that.
Exactly. It's not right, is it? But
so yeah. I mean, what do you lot reckon?
I mean, it's one of them. I think that I don't see Mason starting again. I think they're gonna keep him out of the team a little bit.
I think go the other way around me.
Yeah.
Mason, I think, is the kind of cat that might let his feet do the talking.
And he could score a hat-trick tomorrow.
Yeah, and I wonder if... I think this is where this is where the relationship between Ollie and Mason comes in, and I don't know what their relationship is like. I'd be just completely guessing. I don't know if they're close. I don't know anything like that. But this is where, if they've got a good relationship, where he can look him in the eye and say, listen, what do you think is the best thing for you? Because I'd hope that to be able to have that. I'd hope to be able to have that conversation with any of you lot. And say, look, what's the best way for you to get over this? Do you think?
Do you want to just go in and play?
Yeah. Do you want to just go and shut the noise out for 2 hours and just bang goals in? And if he goes, that's what I want to do,
then he does it.
Yeah.
And I think that there's not only an option.
Or if he goes, I don't feel like
there's not even an option on Saturday. There's also the option Tuesday where it's, look, we need to win on Tuesday as well. Not after we got beat in Istanbul.
15 games in the next
but at the same time,
10 week.
Those two kind of games, not against the strongest opposition, games that we have to win.
Yeah.
But you can say to Mason, look, if you turn up in these two games, you're gonna smash it. I know you will. Make sure Ollie's dealt with it right. Pick the game to kind of put him in for, and like you said, kind of throw him in a little bit. Start him. I could see him scoring in both of them games.
But that's where the relationship has to come in, where he can have an honest conversation with him. Because if he lies to him, or if he doesn't feel like he can be honest with him and say, I don't want to play Gaff.
Yeah.
Like if I hope that he can be honest with him and say, nah, do you know what? Maybe I'll just stay at home this weekend, play on my new PlayStation 5.
Yep.
And sometimes that might be the best thing for him.
Absolutely.
Anything in the comments, young Cameron? Do you want me to get him up?
Can you go back down to that 5 subs one as well? Because there's been a bit of talk the last couple of weeks about the 5 subs rule and the fact that, Klopp and Guardiola brought it up after that game and after Liverpool and City played. And Southgate, I think, brought up all Steve's favourite people in that sentence. But at the same time, the 5 subs thing where... everyone was kind of saying we need to not have the 5 subs to protect the lower down teams. But now, the stress on the players, you can see it. There was players dropping like flies in international duty. That last weekend beforehand, United haven't been too bad. But Ollie said in this in his press conference today, these go hand in hand. We had very good managers meeting the other day where we discussed it. Player welfare to be the forefront of our heads, mental and physical health. And 2020 is a year no one could have foreseen, and no one knows the after effects of it. But we can use common sense with fixture scheduling as well as we as managers need to look after players. when they play too many games. We need to try and give them a rest when possible. It goes back to the fixture that United played Everton after being away at Istanbul on Wednesday to be the 12:30 game on a Saturday.
Well, Ole, I thought he had a bit of a Rafa moment. I thought he properly lost it. Maybe he just wanted to focus on that and nothing else.
I think he did well, because I think that he did not say anything if we got beat. I mean, everything. The press conference was completely different about his job and all this, but I think he'd have just not mentioned it if we'd have got beat. Whereas he brought it at the end of the game. He said, "I didn't want to say it, but now that we've won, I feel like people will actually take a bit of notice about me," because that's what he kind of said, was that I had to rest players in the week. I couldn't play Fred and McTominay midfield because we only had a full day to recover, which is ridiculous in this kind of season. There's no reason why United couldn't have played on Sunday at 4 o'clock.
Mate, there's no reason why international football should happen this season.
He said there as well, he said, if you have the chance in the last 15-20 minutes to take players off, instead of making 3 subs, you might have some injuries. Fatigue is the main cause. You might be late in a tackle and hurt somebody else or yourself. So, what do you think? Do you think they go back to the 5 subs eventually, or do you think the Premier League stick it out now?
I like it. We obviously have it at our level, don't we?
Yeah.
It's actually... and I get nerdy like this sometimes. I read the rules, and I read the rules, and I wasn't sure until we had Jordan break his wrist, and I'd made all my subs. Jordan was my last sub, and I made all my subs, and Jordan broke his wrist in injury time.
Yeah.
Because I'd read the rules is a little ambiguous on the usage of your subs. It just said name 5, use 5.
So you can rotate on.
Well, I asked the referee, and I said, "Can I bring him back on?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah, you can." And I was like, "Sweet." Having 5, if I've named 5, I like to bring 5 on.
Yeah.
Because obviously this isn't lads' jobs.
No.
I don't like people dressing to not come on. Like I would, I want to get at least 5 minutes for every single player that we can get out there. I think I would like 3 as an option, but I think 5 is good.
I think this season especially, with the congestion of fixtures, we've had our thoughts on international football. I think it's ridiculous that it's going on in all this. Ridiculous. The amount of players that have come back, gone to countries with different COVID regulations, come back with COVID. I think Arsenal have got a couple of players.
Mate. Well, West Brom that we're playing this week, I think they've had 3 cases in their first 11 in the last, either side of...
And even the rumours around United, you had Tellez, you had this whole situation at the start of this week where he had it twice. He's been tested extra when he shouldn't have been tested because he's had it. He shouldn't. In England, you wouldn't have tested him because there's no point because he's had it. So he's obviously going to test positive, but it doesn't matter because it's after the 14 days. But he had to do the test to go into Uruguay. You then have the Cavani situation where Cavani played or trained with 2 lads that had it. He ends up not having to isolate and can play and all this. But in one situation, you go, well, he could have easily done that. And there's countries that they go into.
Even when Cavani was signed, there was players that had gone on an international break and then come back in the time that he was isolating from coming from France. And you're like, surely this makes no sense.
No, it makes no sense. But the 5 subs thing should happen because it's protecting the players now.
You've seen more young players getting minutes as well.
I think you would. I think at the lower down
that fifth sub,
the lower down in the league, I think you'd have to gamble. Maybe they'd maybe put a couple more in as forwards because they've not got maybe the options that United have. But they could put a young lad who's 18, who's a striker that's scoring goals on the bench that we could bring on. That we might not usually. If we've only got 3 subs, I'm only going to have the substitute striker that I'm going to bring on. But if it's 5 subs, maybe I put that 18-year-old on the bench.
5 from 7.
5 from 7. The EFL have now put 5 subs in place. English Football League have put 5 subs in place.
Was there a time, did I imagine this? Was it post-COVID there was like 10 on the bench for the 5?
You've imagined that.
I've made that up.
I think it was 7. I think it was still the 7, but you can make 5 subs.
Was there one of the competitions maybe? Was it Europa?
I think you can do it in the Champions League anyway.
Was it?
I think you can. I think you can do as many as you want. And you can definitely, international different.
It was 9, says Richard Little. What was that in, mate? What was that in?
Was that in? Any
5 from 9. Is that what it is now?
Not now, but
is that what it was?
3. I think it might have been 5 from 9.
Millions.
Again, I think there's a lot of a lot of the managers backtracking. Even like David Moyes says, I voted against it. He said I didn't think I had the squad to do it. But now, having seen it in practice, seeing the level of how many games these players are having to play, it's not fair. It doesn't matter whether I've got kids on the bench or not. I should be doing it. I should be making 5 subs in a game, protecting these players because they're going to go to international duty. They're going to go to this. They're going to have back-to-back games, the way it's all been crammed in.
The international thing angers me beyond belief. How they're doing international football, flying, it's so irresponsible. It's not only that, and the extra pressure on the extra pressure on the players is just not warranted. Like, I kind of appreciate and liked what we did when we came back from lockdown first time round. Lockdown 1, remember that?
1.0.
That was lockdown. What lockdown 1? That was when we had like The Last Dance and Tiger King. That was when lockdown was good. Remember that? Not the shite we got now. But when we came out of that, it was like, right, domestic season. And then it was European season. Well, I wouldn't mind a full-time switch to that. Full domestic season, finish it, full post-international season.
Yeah.
So if you're not internationals, you get a bit of time to train and get up to that level.
Yeah, I don't get it. But the whole point with the internationals is just ridiculous. And you think of those 2 weeks we could have had off kind of thing. Or they could have put that in January. That 2 week off that we could have done now. You could have had these games. You could have caught... United has still got a game in hand. Like, why not catch that out first? Like, surely that gets sorted first.
So the 3 international friendlies?
Because it gets to...
Stop it.
It got to the end. I mean, it wasn't last season. I think the season before, when everyone's kind of saying it's not fair on the league leaders, the top 4 teams that are in Europe and stuff, or doing well in the cups, because they have these games in hand that go till the last. It wasn't City's game was the last game of the season when I think when Company scored that against Leicester. It was 4 days before the end of the season they finally got the catch up. And it's just, if you don't have so many international breaks, if you don't do, they really need to play Ireland the friendly. If you even argue, you can argue about the Nations League and the importance of that. Okay, that's how they qualify for a tournament. Did they need to do a friendly? Did all these countries need to do an extra game in there? Did they need to do 3 games?
I don't think you needed international football at the moment. I think it's fucking highly irresponsible to fly players from multiple locations in the world to one centralised location and then fuck them all back off to them locations again after. And forgive me if I'm wrong, I think it's probably like 1 in 3, 1 in 4, it seems, matches has had some fucker test positive. Whether that's coaching staff, player, official, bus driver, whatever. There's someone within every single one of them organisations of all of these. Like, teams have lost players now. So let's say West Brom don't pick up any points at Old Trafford. Most people say, well, they were never supposed to pick up points at Old Trafford. But they've lost players this week because of COVID. Let's say United lose players this week because of COVID, because of the international break. If we never went away, if they never went to Brazil and started spitting in each other's mouths, they wouldn't have come back and tested positive for COVID. Do you know what I mean?
And that was the thing about the Tellers thing that was, I think, frustrating most people as well. That he goes away on this international break, he's just got back fit, and through no fault of his own, there was talks that, well, he's trained with someone that's got COVID, he might not be able to play, or he's had to go there, and you're like, he shouldn't be doing like that to us. That could have really stitched us up. I mean, Brandon would have probably come in and done okay, but Brandon's not played enough football just to be thrown in Premier League games, or maybe having to do that. Lads, if you're watching, can you like the video for us? Like the video.
Yeah, like the video.
Yep.
I'll find you.
Well, you know. Any good comments? What's people saying?
Someone says, why is he swearing so much? Kids might be watching. Didn't ask them to. And they'll be at school.
It's Steve.
Or they should be.
Yeah, they should be.
Yeah.
That's what they can do.
So stay in fucking school. Right. I reckon we're going to wrap it up there. Yeah. There's a lot of people just agreeing that international football's over our ass. So that's that.
There is.
Back here tomorrow night for a watch along.
8 o'clock. Who thought that was a good idea? Although we've got nothing else to do. It's more the hours before that we have to figure out now. Ignore that. Yeah, so 8 o'clock tomorrow, watch along. We've got all sorts going on, watch along. It'll be live an hour and a half before kickoff. We're going to do me and Joe kicking off the show. Obstacle courses. No, but there's me and Joe will be kicking off the show.
Pumpkins.
Then
fireworks.
Then we've got the team news. Then got the pre-game show where you can still get your predictions in. paddockmatchday@gmail.com. If you've not already sent in a 30-second clip, send it in now, and then our lovely producer Cameron will put you into that video so you can feature on the watch along. So please do that. Also, what else will then happen? And then there's a watch along. You'll get to sit next to your Adam McCullough and Joe Smith and have a.
I'm not on it, am I?
I think so.
I thought I was in there.
No.
Fuck's sake.
So you'll see Stephen Howson in a happy mood, just like this. There you go. That'll be tomorrow. Is that all we've got?
Yeah, transfer reviews out a little bit later on. Subscribe. I'll cut you Jacobs off. See you in a bit.